today we have Marne Platt.
Hey,
Hi.
Steve. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So, what brought you to Basel, Marne?
Novartis brought me to Basel, as with so many of us, which has nothing to do with why I'm here to talk to you, but it was a wonderful chance.
It's an opening. So, what would you like to talk about?
I would love to talk about celiac disease, living as a celiac, and my cookbook, which is called Easy Tasty Gluten Free, which is 50 recipes for all the sweet stuff that celiacs have to give up.
And how did you get started with this?
I was diagnosed in the States in 1996, and at that point, there really were no options to buy gluten-free food in a grocery store. But I spent my life living on cupcakes and brownies and cookies and donuts, and I wasn't going to give them up, so I had to learn how to make it all myself.
Yeah, who can live like that? It's not really a life, no. So what did you do?
I started by switching over recipes that already existed, converting them to gluten-free, and then branched out a little bit on my own, creating some, modifying them, and I would test them over the years with friends and colleagues and people who just happened to walk into the office, and I'd say, "Here, try a brownie, tell me what you think." And ultimately came down with 50 recipes that are in the cookbook that are no-fail, delicious. People love them whether they have celiac or they don't, and I would bring them to the office and people would say, "They're missing what?" Because you can't really tell the difference.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you've eaten some
Yeah,
of my
I
cakes.
have. I just did today.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what celiac disease is. I know what gluten-free is.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference?
Sure. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disease where basically if you eat this protein that's in wheat, rye, oats, or barley, it's a little more complicated than that, but let's call it that.
That's good enough.
If you eat it, your immune system attacks yourself, mostly in your gastrointestinal tract. So gluten-free means you don't eat any of that stuff, so you don't get sick.
But you got to find a way to get around that so you're not hurting yourself.
Right. You have to find a new way of eating, you adjust what you eat. It's a great way if you ever want to give up fast food. That's the way to do it. Get diagnosed with celiac disease because you can't eat there.
Well, I don't eat that anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there's every fast food has gluten. So
Yeah,
that's
pretty
not
much.
happening.
Because even if the food itself doesn't have it, we have a big problem with cross contact. If there is a bread on the counter next to our gluten-free bread and they use the same knife to cut them, that can be enough to make a sensitive celiac very sick.
Wow. Yeah. And there seems to be a growing number of people with this disease and just a ballooning number of people with gluten allergies. That whole cosmos is just going up and up.
Yeah, it's an interesting question within the community. Are there actually more celiacs, or is it just that physicians are figuring out that they need to be diagnosing it? And then there are a cluster of diseases because a wheat allergy or a gluten allergy is not the same mechanism as celiac disease, but they all get you to the same place.
And you've been in Basel for a while, right?
Right. And it was such a joy to move here from the States back then where you could not really get anything gluten-free easily in the stores, and it continues to be easier here in restaurants, in shops, than in the U.S.
And your stuff, you talk about your cooking and your recipes being simple and affordable.
Yeah.
Can you explain about that, please?
Yeah, that's the big difference for me. When you go to buy a gluten-free flour mix, because you can get them in the Coop or the Migros, they're crazy expensive. I just did a comparison, and it will come up on my blog in a couple of weeks. You can spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times as much for the gluten-free versions of things than you do for the regular version. And some of that is legit. Our ingredients cost more, but some of it is just because they can get away with it. So when I started to write the cookbook, I wanted to keep it simple. It's easy if you're new. I use only 2 different flours. It's rice flour and sweet rice flour, and you buy them at the Asian market, and they really are least expensive. And most of the recipes are really foolproof.
And simple, you said,
Yeah,
right?
simple, foolproof. I had them tested. As I was getting ready to launch the book, I sent them out to probably 30 different people around the world, because I've lived this way now in 5 countries. So I sent it out to friends, and everyone was able to make everything.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Oh boy, there's a lot I could tell you about celiac disease, but what I really wanted to tell people is look, particularly if you're new to the disease or you're a parent of a newly diagnosed celiac child, it can be really scary. And my goal in life is to take some of that fear factor away and let you continue to eat foods that you enjoy, because really, brownies, cookies, cake, that's love. You want to be able to share that, right? So that's what the cookbook is about, easy, tasty, gluten-free. It's available on my website, marnieplatt.com. It's available on Amazon. And I blog a couple times a week and post on Medium. So all of the recipes that I share are gluten-free, are easy. Anybody can do them.
That's beautiful. So you told us how to get a hold of you. You told us your history. I have one question, though. Is ice cream gluten-free? Can you have that?
Yes.
Yes.
Real good ice cream, as long as it doesn't have the obvious stuff like cookies and crusts. And, you have to be careful with things like ice cream cake flavored, birthday cake flavored ice cream, in case they have the little crunchies in them. You can't eat that. But yeah, that was one of my big fears. But I can still get real chocolate ice cream.
That's a real fear. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Marnie, for showing up here.